Do you ever look outside one day in spring or early summer and suddenly you look out and go, God, I never saw that tree blossom. I never saw those leaves grow. When did they grow? Do you ever have that experience? Anybody? Sometimes I sit in my chair at home and I have a plate glass window. And if it's not blocked by deer looking at me asking for food, I can see these trees. And then one day you look out and it's all green. Everything's grown. Now, you see, that growth, it happens in a world that we're not privileged to be a part of in terms of our capacity to see the changes. The changes we see are because our mind compares what we see now to what we saw yesterday. That's the change we see. We don't see growth. We don't see growth. We see the effect of growth. So here's this tree and it's bare, storing up its energy, and here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. And here comes the rain, and all of a sudden, all these leaves come out. And then the minute that the leaves come out, suddenly the tree is the beneficiary of a seed that was called the bud that opened into a leaf. And now the leaf begins to catch the light, the sun. And through the process that only nature really knows, we can explain it, suddenly this tree has all this energy from 93 million miles away to begin to produce and move the sap and all the rest of the business that will gradually give rise to new branches, and new branches to new buds, and new buds to new leaves next year. And there's this marvelous process by which all of this growth is unfolding, and we don't get to see any of it. Most of us even never see that, save for those rare moments, if we're present to ourselves, where we have the experience of a living creature unfolding before our eyes, but unfolding in a time frame that we with our limited senses can't receive. But because I can't receive through my sensations, through my eyes, my ears, and touch, I can't receive the fact that it's growing, doesn't mean that it isn't, because there it is, it's doing it. I'm just not there in that time, in that world of time where that's unfolding. Are you understanding what I'm saying? The soul, what you are working to understand, without the soul, there's no relationship to the divine. What relationship you now have with the divine is because of some tiny magnetic piece, some little part of you that's capable of developing into something that can be properly aligned and formed. But the point is that you just like I can't see the leaves grow, you can't see the soul grow. You get somebody say, I this, I that, oh, you nothing. You can't see the soul grow, and yet in parallel, because I love to talk about how the celestial is in the common. Just like that tree opens these leaves when it gets what it needs, so does this nascent soul open up the sails of its new senses, the possibility of receiving impressions that it could never receive unless these little tiny movements took place and opened to receive the impressions that feed it, that allow it to begin to fulfill its purpose, which is to be a bridge between heaven and earth. The beauty of your spiritual work is the gradual understanding that you as a being have the possibility of standing in relationship to this living vine, to this living truth, in such a way that gradually you can receive enough impressions and let them be as revelatory as they need to be vis-a-vis your experience to validate that this is fruitful, that's not. And then you start to realize that, you know what, I don't see it happening. But yesterday, I wasn't as impatient as I was. Last night when I was on the phone, I felt as if I was going to fall into a funk because somebody did or didn't this, or somebody said something. I heard somebody said something about me, and usually I get all up and crazy. And instead of getting crazy, I was conscious. See, that's the leaves and the fruit and the seed all at once, because every last one of those new openings, new revelations that become possible because of one's work to develop themselves, sets the stage for this beautiful, ceaseless branching and flowering and seeding and in a ceaseless movement. And there are no answers. We can get into this. And there are no answers outside of that. Because everything else sits outside of life. Humanity, and to whatever extent it's true, which I'm not going to sit and point out to you, you're outside of life. You're infected by the world. But the capacity to recognize the way I'm compromised wouldn't even occur to me were it not already for some little leaf of the soul sitting out and catching that impression that suddenly makes it apparent to me where I am, and what remains for me to be done to become a true human being.